we need to write our introduction in right perspective, and you need to mention about the work of anthropologist. Second, structure. The structure is very important. According to the demand of question, you need to frame a structure, and here this is the scientific frame of the structure of the answer of this question. And third, if we have theoretical perspective related to our question, so we need to mention theoretical perspective related to our question, because that question is related with the nature of anthropology. And if we want to write about the question related to nature of anthropology, so we need to write some theoretical perspective related to that question. And then you need to write how anthropology give us multidimensional understanding related to human being, and lastly conclusion. So today I have taken another important question related to anthropology, and we try to learn how to get 300 plus in anthropology, right? So this is the question and its answer formatting, right? So try to see at first about the question. This is very simple question, and that question related to the nature of anthropology, right? Related to first topic of anthropology. So here at first, when you see about the question, anthropology provide a multidimensional understanding of human being by bridging the gap between science and humanity. Elucidate. For the writing of answer of this question, we need to write our introduction, then gap between science and humanity, then how anthropology bridging the gap between science and humanity, and then we focus about multidimensional understanding of human being by the study of anthropology, and then conclusion. So see here, you try to see about the question. In this question we need to write answer on multidimensional अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ ह्यूमन बीइंग, यानी एंथ्रोपोलॉजी किस तरह से मल्टी डायमेंशनल अंडरस्टैंडिंग देता है ह्यूमन बीइंग का. सो वी नीड टू एक्सप्लेन दैट. देन ब्रिजिंग द गैप बिटवीन साइंस एंड ह्यूमैनिटी. तो दो इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ यहाँ पर ध्यान रखना है कि फर्स्ट मल्टी डायमेंशनल अंडरस्टैंडिंग. सो बिफोर यू आर गोइंग टू राइट योर आंसर, थिंक, है ना, about the work of some anthropologist who did very important work about the multidimensional approach in anthropology. So that was Franz Boas. He had given multidimensional approach in anthropology. So first you note the work of Franz Boas. Second, कि who provides approach about anthropology bridging the gap between science and humanity. So that approach was given by Bronislaw Malinowski. So two important anthropologists, we need to select them, and on the basis of that we try to write our introduction. So see here introduction, what I have provided. So if you want to write your introduction in a very scientific manner, so see and follow that, right? Here Franz Boas advocated a multidimensional perspective, arguing that human being can be understood only through the integrated study of their biology, culture, linguistic and historical dimension. So this is the first line, right? Because in first line here, that is a multidimensional understanding, and here that is a multidimensional perspective or approach. So that is clear, multidimensional understanding. Second, Bronislaw Malinowski further demonstrated that anthropology bridges the gap between science and humanity by showing how biological needs are fulfilled, through the culturally evolved institutions, right? Thus, anthropology provides a comprehensive understanding of human beings by integrating scientific explanation with humanistic interpretation, right? So this is the introduction, right? Yani, if you are able to write your introduction in this way, so you will be certainly get 300 plus marks in anthropology. Try to learn that, because you need to understand that thing. You need to develop that ability how to write introduction in right perspective. So first, how to write scientific introduction. So this is I have provided you. Second, bridging the gap between science and humanity. But first we go to write an answer about the gap between science and humanity, means differences between science and humanity. So these are the differences according to science and humanity, because in humanity we follow humanistic perspective, right? Our perspective is different because we follow humanistic perspective for the understanding of humanity, and in science we follow scientific method. Here we follow scientific method in science because a study of science is based on scientific method, right? So here this is the point. Here I have mentioned 6 important points related to that. Science based on objective study and humanity based on subjective study. In science we follow scientific observation and scientific experiment, and in humanity we follow social survey and fieldwork method. Third, science based on cause effect relation, while humanity mainly focus on value, ideology, experience and cultural meaning, right? That is very important कि हम humanity में cultural meaning हम देखते हैं किसी चीज़ का, and therefore here that is very important aspect. And then in science we have universal law and generalization. Here we have multiple perspective. In science we follow quantitative method, and here we follow qualitative method. So here our method is different. Here universally accepted any facts, here facts are universally accepted in science, but here we have theoretical orientation. So there are differences in the concept, in the facts related to humanity. So these are the main or fundamental differences, fundamental gap between science and humanity. But then you need to write about how anthropology bridging the gap between science and humanity. So again you will have to discuss about Franz was multidimensional approach, है ना? Franz was ने multidimensional approach में क्या कहा? So first we follow holistic approach, means when we try to study about human being, so we study about human biological evolution and biological variation, cultural evolution and cultural diversity, language, historical background, ecology, geography, adaptation, everything related to human being, means human society, religion, custom, tradition, language, everything is studied by anthropologist. So anthropology is a holistic science, because we integrated all these dimensions with each other, or therefore that give us multidimensional understanding about human being. First. Second, Franz was have provided four-field approach. Means in anthropology we study about biological anthropology, we study socio-cultural anthropology, we study linguistic anthropology, we study archaeological anthropology. So these are the four-field approaches which was given by Franz was. And then historical particularism, right? So if you study about the historical particularism by Franz was, so that was also based on multidimensional perspective and cultural relativism fieldwork, and he rejected about scientific racism, right, on the basis of the study of biology and culture, integration of biology and culture. So he rejected that view, and then integration of biology, culture, language, history and interdisciplinary nature or interdisciplinary approach. So that approach here you try to see what he had done. So basically he had integrated about scientific method and humanistic method in anthropology, right? In second way, if you see about the work of Bronislaw Malinowski, functionalism. So in functionalism, he proposed the basic biological need approach and derived needs approach, and he said that culture fulfill the human biological as well as derived needs. So culture work as like an instrument, and he also provided participant observation, empirical fieldwork, and he integrated biology and culture, and he also integrated scientific and humanistic approach. So these are the bridging gap between science and humanity, and after that we need to write on anthropology give us multidimensional understanding of human being. So how anthropology give us multidimensional understanding about human being? So in anthropology try to see everything we study in anthropology, right? We study about human biological evolution, biological variation, disease and its cure, nutrition, human adaptation, human growth and development, and we also study about human adaptation in different ecology and environment. We study culture, religion, custom, tradition, belief, value. We study human society and social diversity. So we study about the family, kinship, marriage, economic organization, political organization. We study globalization, impact of globalization, migration, everything we study. There is a anthropology of art, there is a anthropology of space, so there is a anthropology of music. So anthropology is an integrated science and an applied science. So these all thing makes anthropology as a science as well as humanity, right? So this thing give us multi-dimensional understanding about human being, because we are able to understand everything related to human being. हम human के बारे में everything we are able to understand through the study of anthropology. So after discussion of this important aspect, and here that if you want to write more and more on that, so only thing you can see about the scope of anthropology, right? That topic give us multiple dimension related to anthropology. And lastly, in conclusion, so here try to see what I have mentioned in conclusion. Ashley Montague, right? Ashley Montague said that anthropology is the most scientific of the humanities and the most humanistic of the sciences. So, on the basis of that, you can write your conclusion, and this is the way by which you will be able to get 300 plus marks in anthropology.